through you to the councilwoman, I think that's what I mentioned earlier. When we give the agenda on Thursday, I do spend a lot of time between Thursday, and I guess that's why we're getting paid for. I met with the city attorney, I met with the city manager, I met with staff. If I have to call the school board or with the consultant, I spent a lot of time. The other day, I think it was Monday, I was in meeting 2 or 3 hours, meeting with the consultant to make sure that I understand very well what is the item before me is all about. And if you had to take a little bit of time to read it, has nothing to do with who's gonna run it, how much land do we need, where we're gonna take it. Staff actually have all those information that we're able to provide it to you. And tonight, all staff is asking you is to give them permission to issue a application to the school board, and that's all they're asking. Once, if you don't provide an application to the school board, if they're denied, you will have nothing to discuss. But if the school board actually approve the application, then the city have something to discuss. So right now, open it to the public, there's nothing to discuss because we don't have anything in our hands to be discussing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Manager, you done?
I have a simple question. Why charter school instead of a regular school?
Through the mayor, Councilman BNMA, the charter school is a special program the Vice Mayor Sterrell wanted us to embark on. It's a special program that deals with a partnership with Miami-Dade Community College to have a public safety program. It's a need. I will say that we did sit with the school board. They have assessed that there is a need. In fact, at Benjamin Franklin,
is a need for a school? Or
there's a need for a school.
Okay.
The way that they are routing them now, they are what they are looking at, that Benjamin Franklin will now be a K through 8. They, according to their study, they say that Benjamin Franklin, which used to be an elementary, now needs to be a K through 8. The attendance is so high there that they have asked the city to assist and remodify the current agreement we have so that they can build a new school there. So that's underway. Those talkings are underway, and we'll present them to the council as the school board gives to us. Now, moving forward, as far as the high school is concerned, there is no high school in the north end of the county in that area, in that northwest area. There is none. As it's been indicated, our students who are at 17th Avenue to all the way as far west to Northwest 2nd, they're being shipped out. That's not to say that they won't be shipped out in the future. However, this new program school, it may not be for everybody. It may only have 500 students. We don't know. We don't know the size. We don't know any of that, as Vice Mayor Sterrell says, until we at least put the application. And then if the application is approved, then we will conduct that analysis. We will conduct a needs assessment. And our objective is to also sit down with the school board. Maybe they may be interested in a partnership with the city. We're hoping that in this collaborative comments that they made, that we did have that discussion today. You know, maybe can we see if we can do a joint venture? Maybe we may be inclined to do it. Keep in mind, at Biscayne Landing, the reason why that those schools are public is because the city had did an application to do a charter school. In the midst of that application process, they came to the city and say, hey, give me the land and I'll put a public school here. They may do that at this location as well. Although an application could be approved. Then we would bring it back to this body and you all make the decision. At that time, we may tighten up an agreement to ensure that our residents are there. And I think that's not option that the school board may not take. So once we get the application approved, then we would do a needs assessment.
You spent about $25,000 in study, right? The
20,000.
About 20,000. What is the result?
It's not a study.
I'm sorry?
What?
No. He meant
We spend the money for what? The $20,000.
$20,000 for a study. You said yes, but it's not a study though. The consultant fee.
The consultant fee. The consultant is present. He could describe, if you like, what he did, but I can tell you that he conducted analysis, a needs assessment. One is,
Where it is?
I'm sorry?
Where it is? We don't have it on paper?
It's being provided to us. He's here. We haven't collected all of the data. We just collected enough data to say that it is substantive enough to move forward. But I can get you that data.
Mr. Manager, in light of what we just heard regarding the agreement between the school board and the city of North Miami, and the fact that we do have 20% of our students only attending those schools that are in the city of North Miami, we do have a contract with them. Can this contract be amended, or are they in violation with what we anticipated at the time those schools were built?
Can it be amended?
Either,
The
or is
agreement-
the school board in violation with the agreement they had with the city of North Miami at the time they were building those schools?
I think that when it came to Alonzo Tracy Morton and David Lawrence, I think that what happened was that the ball could have been dropped on both parties' side because there was no construction vertically. The lines got drawn back in 2008 when those schools started. The city did not attend those meetings to ensure that the lines were drawn. It's an item that kind of got left to the side. So we are addressing it now, but even the language here, the way it's written, it's really not, in my opinion, tight enough to really say how many students and where the lines. However, I would tell you that according to the intergovernmental affairs person that I spoke with, this agreement is a separate board that draws those lines, that the school board superintendent has no say. So that's a whole different committee that you got to attend. So maybe all of that information was not brought forth, maybe it was not disclosed to the city at the time that this agreement was done. It should have. But if we have to enter an agreement moving forward, we will have all that information, and we would do what some cities are doing now, like Key Biscayne. They have made it sure in that agreement how many students from Key Biscayne are going to those schools. And this agreement is just not clearly specified.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't have any more questions on that item, but I'm just going to give a recommendation to staff to give us an update while contacting the school board. I know we're going to be in recess, but we're coming back on the second week of August.
August.
August the 25th.
I think it's in your district, Scott. If it can be a motion, I'll move a motion to add this on the agenda for the second week of August to give us an update on David Lawrence and the morning
the lines
regarding a discussion with the school board.
Sure. So what we will provide in that discussion is our attendance of the meetings, the results of those meetings, and our attempts to get those lines, or at least a plan of action moving forward.
Correct.
To get those lines drawn more westward, so it would have a greater impact on our residents.
It seems like the councilman is very upset, but I wouldn't want to see those schools closed, because the 20% of the kids that we have actually attending those schools probably wouldn't have a school to go to. So, Councilman, I know you're upset, but I hope that you allow staff some time to work with the school board to proceed.
Sure, and if I can continue to say that from now on, whenever we're dealing with any entities regarding the city, we want to make sure that this government, this body, knows what's going on and are involved, because we're just learning, like 10 years later, that no one cared of what was taking place at that time, and we just finding out that only 20% of our children are attending a school that is in our city limits.
Well,
And this is unacceptable,
The
and it's just lack of
boundaries-
leadership.
The western boundaries is the railroad tracks.
Right.
So if you live on the other side of the railroad tracks, along Biscayne Corridor, you will not attend David Lawrence or Alonzo Tracy Morning.
It's the same thing for the children living on the west side going to North Miami Middle School.
Correct.
These children are being shipped to North Dade Elementaries, 27th Avenue and 100 and something, 178 or 82nd Street. It's when we do have a middle school right there in North Miami, this is something that is definitely unacceptable.
okay.
And
Madam Mayor, Madam Chair, and the item we were discussing about it was the shadow school, and I had a question about the $20,000 and about the consulting fee.
Sure.
I don't know if you can call
The consultant?
yes.
Yes, if you like.
Madam Mayor, City Council and staff, my name is Frank Bolaños, and we've been working on this project now for several months. The answer to the questions as to the work product of this work for several months constitutes multiple meetings with Miami-Dade College, with individuals that run similar programs in charter schools such as the City of Hialeah Education Academy, which is also a joint program run, criminal justice program run with Miami-Dade College as well. The research included analysis of schools in the area to determine the need, knowing that as part of the application process, the applications must demonstrate need. The work product includes a 170-page draft application that has already been developed and written, and forms the basis to improve and edit it to present an even stronger and better application on August 1st. So the request here is to allow the process to continue, to allow the city and the residents and students to have an additional option that would be available if and when the application is approved.
Mr. City Manager, and beside the $20,000, and is it a contract where we're going to be paying the consultant every month, or
No.
it's
This was just specifically targeted at the council approval, the former council approval, to move forward to have a charter school at that location. We did not want to submit an application or move forward until we conducted a feasibility study to see if it was feasible to do. So that was what the consultant has done. Based upon his study, we're moving forward with we're requesting to move forward with the application process. So we don't anticipate any other consultant or data research at this time. Unless it's required by another entity, then we may have to do so, at which time we'll bring it back before this council for approval.
okay? Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any
Mr.
other
Galvin,
questions.
you did? Do you want to attend anything else before we close this chapter for now?
No, just one thought for staff is to keep Thomas Jefferson Middle School in the mix. I went to TJ, and it is, from my last understanding, very under-enrolled. So if there's some role that it can play, just keep that in mind. If they're overloading our schools and saying we don't have anywhere to put them, well, what about TJ, 151st and I-95? If it is still as under-enrolled as it was this past school year.
Yes. And for the record, we're going to analyze the data that the school board gave us and sit down with them so we can come up with the more proper percentage that we will present to you on the 25th, once we also provide the lines and the information on that.
Any other concern, Vice Mayor?
No, I move to adopt the consent agenda, Madam Mayor.
Before we do so, we must do open forum according to Robert rules, we have to open forum before we vote on the consent agenda.
Excuse me, we have discussion of all those other items. We're not going to get to discuss remaining items?
Oh, I think the mayor asked if we have any other questions. I said no, but
I
nobody
thought that
else
was
said.
just regarding
So we cannot
you
vote on it until...
and this one item.
We cannot
Madam-
vote on the consent
Madam
agenda
Ma-
until we open forum. We do open forum.
I'm a little unclear.
Show it to the city attorney, please.
Just for a point of clarification on what Councilman Scott Galvin indicated before regarding the Citizens Bill of Rights. The article, section 5, and this is what Councilman Scott Galvin indicated, and this is what the mayor wishes to do. She wants to make sure before they vote on the consent agenda, the citizens would have a right to be heard pursuant to our charter, Bill of Rights, section 5, right to be heard. So far as the orderly conduct of public business permits, any interested person has the right to appear before the city council or any city agency, board, or department for the presentation, adjustment, or determination of an issue, request, or controversy within the jurisdiction of the city. Matters shall be scheduled for the convenience of the public, and the agency shall be divided, and the agenda shall be divided into approximate times so that the public may know approximately when a matter so that they can be heard. So at this time, the mayor has requested that before they vote on the consent agenda, we do have a motion. If a member of the public want to be heard on any item of the consent agenda, you may so at this time by the wishes of the mayor. And that's what Councilman Scott Galvin wanted as well.
Madam Mayor, may I interject for 1 minute, Madam City Attorney?
Go ahead.
Mr. Clerk.
Yeah.
If there is any issue that needs to be resolved between you and the city attorney, you guys need to do it and take care of it before. I'm not done yet.
Vice Mayor, let me stop you there. This is not the public forum for
sir,
that.
I do have
That's
the
not
floor.
the public forum for.
I'm
You're
sorry.
not going to dress me down during a
Madam Mayor,
meeting.
may I?
Excuse me, we need to do this on an orderly
Let me
manner.
finish. You will have listen, Michael.
The law is the law, Vice Mayor. That's what's required.
Well, that's why we have a city attorney. You are the clerk. If the mayor asks the city attorney asking her for a question, she's gonna have to answer. And hold on a minute. I'm not saying what you said is wrong or right. I'm not saying that I am not a lawyer, and I respect that. I am a social worker, and I love what I do, and I understand that. But as long as I sit up here, I'm going to show you respect, and you're going to have to show me as well, which we agree with that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, from what I understand, we up here, we ask questions to the city attorney, to the city manager. If one of us asks the city attorney a question, we expect her to answer, because when they come after me, I want to be able to say that according to the one that I paid for, which is the city attorney, that's what she was advised.
Okay, now my turn, Vice Mayor.
I don't want to, I'm not saying that I'm not done yet. How could he be your attorney if I'm not done yet? Hold on, calm down. Calm down. This is not a discussion. I am just letting you know that we will not be conducting business as usual.
Okay.
We up here as might be a woman in majority, but it's going to be conducting as it's supposed to be.
Okay.
She asked a question to the city attorney going to respond because you are not the city attorney.
Now, first of all, now
Close.
unlike you, Vice Mayor, I speak to the mayor on a constant basis and Councilman Galvin on a constant basis. You have the right to ask the city attorney whatever questions you do, and that's why you and I don't have discussions regarding what goes on the agenda. But other council members...
you're not the attorney. Why would I
It doesn't
discuss the
matter. It's
agenda
their
with you?
prerogative. If the mayor, if Councilman Scott Galvin and Councilman Philip Bieneme want to talk to me about a matter, they have that prerogative. If
Mr.
you don't
Clerk,
want to
can
do
we-
so,
Mr.
it's
Clerk,
fine.
Mr. Clerk, can we move on?
Absolutely. So,
Okay, let me hear the answer from the city attorney, please.
Yes, respectfully, as I indicated previously, the public does certainly have a right to be heard, and the public speaks on your agenda at Citizens Forum. Your charter addresses the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights allows the public to speak when not prior to the consent agenda. It allows the public to speak at the meeting. The public will speak at the meeting. If you so desire the public to speak prior to the consent agenda, then that will be your desire and that will occur. However, the Bill of Rights, Section 5, does not require or mandate that the public be allowed to speak prior to the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Attorney.
What do you want to do, madam?
We need to move on. If it's not a requirement, we don't have to do it, do
Your
we?
item is, your mic is not open.
Madam Chair,
It is
may I
on.
have-
It is
as a
on.
council person, may I have the right to speak on this consent agenda
We're going to vote on it. You can speak now.
before we vote on it?
Be
Because I
hurry.
have several questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, thank you. Just to answer the councilwoman through you, Madam Mayor, I have spent and read this agenda more than once. I have spent hours with the city attorney, and I have spent hours with the staff, more than 4 hours. So this is not a charade. These are questions. These are legitimate questions, and I have done my due diligence. I did not just come up here and pretend like I have reading this for the first time. We have a tab E, and I have discussed these with the attorney. I gave a written request, just for the record, I gave a written request on Sunday to our attorney, manager, clerk, and deputy clerk, asking to follow the Robert's Rules of Order, and gave the definitions, and I also mentioned and listed the items I wanted removed. So this is not anything new. And I asked, going forward, if we were going to be able to use the Robert's Rules of Order for our consent agenda. I have not received an answer, and obviously, the Robert's Rules of Order as defined are not being followed and are not going to be followed. That being said, tab E, we have a proposed...
Madam Mayor, not to interrupt you, may I address that issue?
Sure.
Wait. Are we just going to have debate on each and every point? Because I'm about to light into some stuff, too. I mean, the councilwoman has the floor,
I
Madam
agree.
Mayor. As you told me, take notes and ask my questions later. I'd suggest the same of our city attorney, because the city councilwoman has the floor right now.
I agree. Go ahead.
I've asked the mayor, she said, yes, that's fine.
She's in the middle of it. Are you done with your point, Councilwoman?
No, I have all these items.
Okay, I thought she was done with the Robert's Rule of
No,
Order
these
issue,
items
I
have been
apologize.
voted out.
No, they haven't been voted out.
No,
You're
she
getting
has
ready to
questions
vote
on
yes on all of these items.
We-
Without- If we vote on this consent agenda,
Madam-
it's yes
No,
without
she
any
haven't.
amendments.
She's right,
It
she's
just says flat out, every one of these items is a yes.
No,
And
you do have the right to address those that are
That's what I wanna
of concern to you.
that's what I'm trying to do.
And I'm trying to understand why the city attorney interrupted you
I don't
because
know.
you. Okay.
No,
Well, because I
she-
mentioned...
No,
the
no,
top-
I thought she
Okay.
had a point from what you had just said
She might
that she
have.
wanted to respond. Is
was
that
fine with
correct?
me. I have no problem with this.
That is correct. I thought she was addressing the Robert's Rule of Order issue, and I wanted to address that. I wasn't trying to stop or interrupt you, but I wanted to address the Robert's Rule of Order issue, and I thought that, and I asked Madam Mayor, who chairing the meeting, whether that would be acceptable.
Before you go any further on your points,
Okay.
she wants to
That's fine.
answer what you just brought up.
Okay.
Madam City Attorney, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution 2003-71 addresses how Robert's Rule of Order shall be applied to the city. The City Council passed this resolution in 2003 by a 5-0 vote. Section 1 states, Robert's Rules of Order shall be applicable to City Council meetings and shall be the conduct of the meetings of the City Council, which shall continue to be informal and relaxed in accordance with the adopted rules. Section 2, that the city attorney shall advise the City Council as to the rules of procedure. In the event that, by motion made and seconded, in the event that by motion made and seconded, any city council member has disagreed with the procedural decision of the mayor, that matter shall be referred to the city attorney as parliamentarian and for the city attorney's advice. And the city council majority shall prevail on any matter of procedure.
So, point of clarification, Madam City Attorney, do Robert's Rules of Order have any bearing on this council meeting?
The resolution that was passed
I know,
in
I've read it, you've sent it to
2003.
me multiple times, I've read it, I reread it. In
Okay.
your legal interpretation, do Robert's Rules of Orders have any bearing on our council?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
It shall
at
be
what point-
applied in an
Thank you.
informal and relaxed manner. However, the
Yes.
council majority shall prevail on any matter of procedure. Should you wish to amend this resolution, it is certainly the council's prerogative.
The point I'd like to make is that there are, Robert's Rules of Order are guidelines, and we are either going to follow them in a relaxed manner or we're not going to follow them. At this point, we are not following them, because you take the consent agenda by itself, anytime a council member has a question about a consent issue, all they have to do is ask that it be removed. We're not doing that now. And look, just because of the way we're not letting people talk and discuss, we're belaboring the meeting by even longer. If we had taken all 11 of these items off, put them on the regular, allowed everybody to discuss, and
But
vote
we are
to move on.
addressing them now.
But we're
Councilwoman Keys has just brought up her concern. Vice Mayor just brought up the other one. What is it that you are not satisfied?
Can we
that the
move
citizens of this city are not being allowed to ask questions. Because if we took these items off of consent and put them on the regular agenda, we'd have to go one by one and let the public talk. That's what concerns me, is that we're voting on things as a whole, and they're not just small little items. We're talking about charter schools, we're talking about annexation, we're talking about all sorts of things, and the public gets no comment. That bothers me.
Well, Mr. Galvin, there's one thing that you need to understand.
I understand very well. I've been
as an
here
elected
14
official,
years,
and I
Madam
believe
Mayor.
that we need to take Vice Mayor's way of doing things and start applying to ourselves as well. Once the agenda comes out, we need to meet with staff, we need to meet with the city attorney, we need to talk to constituents, and then we are their voice here. It does not preclude that at certain occasion that the public is not allowed to speak. What I'm saying is that us, as representative of the residents, we must do our homework and speak to them and listen to them and come and speak on their behalf. This is the entire idea of electing officials and come here and represent them.
I not only do my homework, I've got a doctorate, Madam Mayor. I've been up here for
I'm
more
sure
than
you
a
do.
decade. Let
I'm
me say
sure
this.
you do, Mr.
No matter
Galvin.
how much homework I do or don't do, no matter how many private meetings I have with staff, it means nothing if the public isn't aware of what's being said and if the public isn't allowed to ask questions.
Nobody said the public is not allowed to ask questions. What we're saying that.
But okay, so we're going to open this up for public discussion.
Can we
tonight.
move on, Mr.
But wait, you just said we're not saying that the public can't ask questions. are
What
we?
they're saying, we just discussed the Robert rules. This is what it says. The city attorney just give us an opinion on it. Do we need to open the forum? Do we have to open the forum on a consent agenda? Because we have a pretty lengthy agenda for tonight. Do we need to open forum? No, we don't have to. It's
That's-
not a must.
But
That's what
shouldn't-
CJ
but
is that,
shouldn't we-
Madam Attorney,
shouldn't
isn't
we
it,
allow-
Madam, Mr. Galvin, Mr. Galvin,
We're not
can you let
talking
me
about-
finish,
we're
please?
not talking
Would you
about
please
the
let me
city
finish?
I'm
Would you
not-
please let me finish? I have the floor, and I'm running this show.
Okay.
Madam Attorney,
now that you've
Mr.
tried
Galvin,
that, now that
Mr.
you've tried
Galvin,
that,
Mr.
Madam
Galvin,
Mayor,
can I
Madam
finish?
Mayor.
Can I
No,
finish?
Madam Mayor.
Can I finish, Mr. Galvin?
No, we're not. We're going to do this all night.
No,
We're
Scott.
No, we're not gonna do this all night.
Councilman,
No,
Councilman.
no, I'm
Yeah,
not
we-
gonna fall
yeah,
into
we-
that little game. We're not gonna do this all night.
We're gonna do it all
Madam
night.
Attorney, can you repeat for Councilman Galvin what you just read regarding the Robert rules?
I understand.
I don't
what
think you
just
do.
read.
Madam Attorney,
No,
can you go ahead and read it again?
You just don't want me to understand it differently than you want me to understand.
Not at all, Mr.
Section
Galvin.
1.
We are not putting up a show here. We're here to represent the
You're not
resident
putting- you're not
and
putting
to
up a show.
conduct city's
You
business.
move on? Can you
Madam,
just-
Madam,
me for
Madam
not doing
Attorney,
my homework,
Mr.
Madam-
Galvin,
Madam Mayor.
Madam Attorney, would you please go ahead
Point of order,
and read
please. Point of
again
order.
and move again
The public was just allowed to speak. I demand
Madam
that the public
Attorney,
be allowed to speak
Would you
further.
please go ahead and read again the Robert rules on this?
Yes, if it be
This
your
time
pleasure.
without the air
The Robert's
of,
Rules of
anger.
Order shall be applicable to all city council meetings, and the conduct of the meetings of the city council shall continue to be informal and relaxed in accordance with the adopted rules. Section 2, that the city attorney shall advise the city council as to the rules of procedure. In the event, by motion made and seconded, any city council member has disagreed with the procedural decision of the mayor, the matter shall be referred to the city attorney as parliamentarian for the city attorney's advice, and the city council majority shall prevail on any matter of procedure.
I stand on record by saying that the citizens of this city should be allowed to speak on any item they wish. We should never shut down city speaking.
You do not have the floor. And as
Can you
far
just
as I can
allow
recall-
Councilwoman Keys to move on with her question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Because I'm interested to hear what she has to
Thank
say,
you.
so I can move on.
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to start with tab E. I know, now, I have spent time with the city attorney and I have discussed this. So, this gives blanket authority to the city manager, attorney, and clerk to take all necessary action to execute all documents affecting the health, safety, and welfare of the city.
Which item? I'm sorry.
This is item tab E.
tab E. Okay.
We are going on recess. I would like it to be a little less broad, and I would like only those items are in the order, we spoke about it, only items that are emergency. We have a hurricane coming up. There's emergency items. Something like that would be authorized if it's in the ordinary course of business, day-to-day business. But I'm not looking to give full authority to staff to enter into any contracts, any ongoing contracts, any new contracts, canceling contracts.
Those are not emergencies, Councilwoman.
Well, I want to make
It does
sure.
said in case of
You
emergency.
said she wanted her to have the floor to ask her questions. Please, Madam Mayor, don't jump in and answer her questions.
It's all a matter.
Mr. Galvin, you're not there to correct me.
Okay, it's all a matter of.
I'm not going to let it go, guys.
But
If you want to either have an orderly meeting or you want to just make it up
But
as we
she's
go
the
along.
chair, Councilman.
But
What's
it's not
going on?
fair. I'm going to stand in there and say it's not
What
fair
is
that when
this?
somebody has the floor, that
Excuse
somebody
me,
else...
I think we need to go in recess. We're taking a 10-minute
Yeah.
break.
Ouch.
This is a very shameful situation. It doesn't matter. You and I can have this discussion. He said, if we share about something, remember the person who sat in that chair and kept on fighting? He's not there. If you want to fight, I'm just saying, no, yeah, I am. It's so easy to move into this before in the hospital. I'm trying to oppose you. If we don't have I want to do that thing. So just remember to stick to that. I'm not going to argue with you now. When you and I jump out, this is